chameleon. You come and go. You come and go. Anyway, welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a while, but we're back. So we wanted to tackle this interview that Kamala had today on Fox.
Oh, she had an interview today on Fox?
Yeah, she's really trying her best. So let's do it.
To get out her campaign voice. She's trying to hit these media streets. Trying to just get her name and some recognition. And, she wants people to vote for her.
Yeah.
She does. She really, really does. She wants to earn it.
She sure does. Let's go to, where is that interview with, here we go. It's right here. Do share. Okay, let's get started.
Madam Vice President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get you the question. I promise you.
See, what he's not going to do is let you spin that same lie again. Oh, and we had the bill ready, and here comes Donald Trump making a call. Same story. So
we just want a number. What's your figure?
Beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the.
Yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish.
You had the White House and the House and the Senate.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're not making $158,000 per year.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border.
Here you go.
That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents
Watch everybody come
supported the
in.
bill.
This lady just lies and
They're
lies.
just watching the people come in anyway. The border agents, they're just like they're holding the gate open. Essentially,
bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every.
You mean to tell me I keep asking the same question? If there was this huge emergency, such as, illegal immigrants coming over here, and committing heinous crimes, you mean to tell me that they could not get an executive order to stop the border crossings, to arrest these people?
if they did so wish it, they could.
Like, that makes no
The
sense to
executive's
me.
order have a lot of power, at least until the next whoever is holding the power, the commander in chief.
Because it makes no sense that you think a piece of paper can stop the flow of, let's say somebody was coming over here and they knew that they were going to plant bombs like in certain cities, so you couldn't stop them from coming in with an executive order. Really? Like, you got to wait for Congress, wait
There's
for the
supposed
Senate.
to be mechanisms in place
Like, that's
to keep that from
crazy.
even happening. But they
every
won't follow it in.
geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done
Yes, ma'am.
as the former attorney general of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs,
Six-
guns, and human beings. And
six
Donald
Democrats-
Trump, but let me just finish.
Six
And
Democrats
Donald
voted
Trump
against that bill.
learned about that bill
Yeah.
and told them to kill it
You
because he
did
preferred to
all
run
this.
on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this
But you're running on a problem because guess what? This border, you know that it's a problem for the American people, especially Black communities. We have a problem with it. So right now you could do it because you're still in office. So
Yeah.
any of these things that she's running on, she could be doing it right,
Right
now.
now.
So while she's
Her
talking about,
plans,
she keeps talking about he's running on a problem. No, you're running on a problem
In
because
fear.
you could fix this right now. Like, I keep trying to figure out, like, do these people think we crazy to think that Trump is in office right now? You keep talking about, is the transfer of power gonna, is it gonna be a smooth transition of power? He's not even
he's
in
not
office.
in power.
So what are you talking about? These people, I mean, they think we are so dumb.
election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States
Oh my
who's not
God.
playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
Six
it.
Is this projection okay?
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the six
Oh.
Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened,
She's waiting for
this
them
is
to-
well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those
I think it's
families
really, I think
an apology?
let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months
Girl,
Really?
that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock.
Waving people
wow. I keep telling you, right when he won, I'm telling you, PBS, they were on there saying that they were coming to America.
Yeah.
So this was a plan. Like, I don't
Droves
know
and
if she
droves.
thinks that we are crazy, but this was a plan. They wanted them to come over here. They left
Yes.
the border wide open. And if she thought it was a problem for the fentanyl or whatever crisis she keep talking about,
Right.
she could have did something then,
Yep.
and she could be doing something right now.
this moment. She's heading
running on a problem.
Highest office in this country.
Clock trying to hold it all together
Madam Vice President.
to ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm
I will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
You are the solution right now.
You know?
Did you just hear this parent tell you that she blames your administration?
Your administration.
And that's all you have is to go right back to Trump. Do something right now. Everybody in some of these cities are telling you that there are some people that have been let in that are causing, what was the game? Trendy Agua. They're here in Chicago.
Yeah.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you invest.
And she walking next to Trump's fence and talking about she's down by the border, like, look at, we gotta finish this fence. Oh wait, no, we don't. I don't know.
Investigate, and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how the system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done.
You're like, I'm tired of this shit. Everybody keep pushing me. I'm tired of these earrings. I'm tired of
Too many
these
voices. Too many voices in my head.
Everybody tired of lying.
These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was
Caught your ass, Mr. Postman.
It's 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted
Girl,
transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa
Did you
cartel.
really?
to the-
Like, did you really?
I have yet to see her in any transcripts or any pictures of her in court. Anybody talking about her in court arguing anything to anyone, the jury, the judge, whatever. I have yet to see any of that. I heard of her sitting in there watching.
Yes, right. This lady has been handed everything to her from the start of her career. What did she even earn?
I heard she got a nice BMW and some other types of favors and jobs and positions where she just had to attend a meeting like 2 times a month for like a couple $100,000.
I mean,
I heard of that kind of stuff. Earning.
No, she always talking about working. Her mom worked hard. She didn't work hard. This lady has been handed everything to her.
She worked at a fast food place.
Where?
Somewhere in Canada, she had to do that because she had 2 parents that were doctorates. One was a doctor and one was a professor.
Yeah, but Obama
So
let him
that's
tell
upper
it.
middle class.
She grew up like us. Okay.
The Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are
She's not vice president no more. She's president. She's running to be vice president. When she gets in the office as vice president,
she's like, I'm tired of lying. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired.
She had to work this hard to say this, but
now you what's the movie? I'm so sick and tired of this. I can't take this.
Voice of the
Yes. Let's continue.
are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Wow.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report.
What does that mean?
That under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never.
Well, I wonder who just told her that in her ear. Who you think told her that?
I don't know.
The glass house?
Was it Michael Obama?
Allegedly.
Advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition
well,
surgeries
you know what? You got to
happened
take
during
responsible for what
his
happened in your
presidency.
administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his
It's
presidency.
in
So
black and white.
would you still
Take responsibility for what happened in your administration. Everybody is hurting because of your administration. So take your own advice.
When you get in the office again, bread gonna be $10 alone.
Okay.
advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I
you have a
think
say
Donald
in
Trump would
this.
say he did.
You would have a
She like, don't you be trying to make me lose my base. Asking me about these type of questions.
I will follow the law and I'll shoot you. I got a
do
gun.
that. Don't you dare do that.
I got a gun. I'll follow
Say
the
as
law.
president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan
I can watch
in
it.
this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas $20 million on that ad, on an issue that
Now we're not going to talk about how much money we spending on these influencers, or did they get paid? Are these dummies working for free? No, somebody getting
they
paid.
started working for free. I think they thought they was going to get some.
They working too hard not to be getting
biscuits
paid
later on.
Yeah, because this is ridiculous. With you, well, we'll get to that after this.
Maybe you'll get to Chick-fil-A.
as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
On
it was
plans for
different,
the
but
American
we'll move
people,
on.
I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing.
Girl.
I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to
Immigrants.
strengthen small businesses, which are the
Immigrants.
backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is
sorry,
about taking care of
migrants.
young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy. His would make them weaker,
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people say-
inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald.
No, you're not gonna turn the page until you give up them reparations. They'll be trying to take us further away from thinking about our past.
You know,
because then whenever I hear her say that, she's like, "Leave everything, including."
Right.
No. This is still a debt that is owed.
yes, it's a debt that is owed. Reparations.
And you wouldn't even be in this position right now if you did the right thing.
You
Had
know?
you not came out and said that you wasn't gonna do nothing that's only gonna benefit black people.
No.
Now look where you at. Look where you at.
Struggling, throwing these coons out here.
Donald Trump, people are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country. And
Ooh, I hope he say something about that because they never rolled them back.
Nope.
She keeps bringing that up.
Keeps bringing it up. But they didn't.
But they didn't roll them back.
Not all of them, nope. They left him up in there.
blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So
Wow.
you're not Joe Biden, you're not
Order
Donald
on
Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
Oh,
And like every new president that comes in to
Oh, you do Biden out there.
because
Oh,
he
she
wore
like,
that
I only
MAGA
got a
hat.
couple more days, so I got to go ahead and say this.
You know?
Girl, we know you lying.
You lied.
office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
See that first-time home buyers, we know that's migrants.
Yeah, there's only one group of people that it's either young people who are about to go out and get a home, or somebody who's never had a home before. And how is that even possible when all these corporations are buying up all the homes and forcing
you
people to
will own
rent?
nothing and be happy? Like, she is a part of that. And they keep talking, well, they haven't mentioned the 2025.
Right.
You know, I think they kind of going away from it. They'll bring it up and then go away from it because, you know, one of them endorsed her.
Yes.
And had endorsed Obama back then too. So the Heritage Foundation is, you know, they donate to both parties.
Yeah.
So, but
it's in your interest as a business to always do that.
I don't understand. Like, what is wrong with this lady? What is wrong with her?
Well, she's a character.
And for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Okay.
Disappear from social media and do this instead. Become a mass.
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know.
Girl, why you keep saying the same? Do you know that you sound like a broken lying record?
Yes.
Like over and over, like you sound so empty.
As you beat down people and send people out to beat down people.
Yes. This particular presidency has brought out the most strongest coons that you could ever imagine. Even coons who you didn't even know were coons.
Super sellouts.
Like
undercover.
If any of these people were truly, truly black, they would know that the last thing you do is threaten black people or force them, say you're going to force them to do something. Who tried that during the Pandeezy? That man came out and said his patience was running thin. Everybody that had watched that and said, who the do he think he talking to? You started watching some TikToks, and it was like the majority of the expression of black people was like, who the fuck you think he talking to?
You know?
I know he didn't. Did he say that? So for those who don't understand, there are certain like things that you just don't do or say to us without us kind of like, I mean, you push us further away when you say things like that. Like, we are nobody's children. We don't belong to anybody.
No, we sure don't.
So, you know, realize that.
The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track,
you're driving the train.
That track follows 3.5 years
of you
being vice president and President
driver
Biden being president.
At that point.
That is what they're
saying. Because everything is sorry. If you look at the view I'm looking from, all inflation
went up
and everything is higher. All of this is connected to what you think.
Well,
some of it, we'll say some. We won't say all.
Some of it were these tariffs that were implemented.
The open borders.
The open borders is definitely
causing some issues
supply
in
and demand for
communities.
food and everything else. It's
I mean, budgets have been drained in these cities for paying for them, housing them. So we would even feel this if there wasn't all this money being spent on these new people who are getting way more money than we could ever even think.
Couldn't fathom
to get.
As citizens.
You know, and particularly as Black Americans who've been asking for the debt that's owed. You slapped the Tulsa, Oklahoma, the last 2 surviving members. They couldn't even get their justice. You got California. They couldn't get their justice.
By their own people who sabotaged it because of the governor.
And it's crazy to even think that you could bring in all these millions and millions of people and freely just give. Do you think that whatever churches y'all think y'all going to and thinking you sleeping good at night by passing up your own to give to someone else, you will be held accountable for that.
They're saying 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become, but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted.
And those same people that now you believe everything they tell you.
You know,
girl.
With someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
Well, yeah, we tired. I tell you who is tired. We tired of you being the catalyst to sending out these people to come tell us, get these. I know you want to say it. Get these in order, but get us lockstep.
They're too uppity.
Yeah, we not we
thinking on their own.
Yeah, you don't want us thinking for ourselves. So we could talk about divisive. We could talk about that. This election brought out some major problems where we just fighting each other.
Yeah,
you got women against men, men against women. All of these different things are happening under this lady who ain't even black.
Yeah, she's not
it's
of us.
Unbelievable that
she's raised in Canada.
We are fighting over somebody who does not even represent us.
Obama was raised in Hawaii and sometimes in Kenya. Neither of these were in the streets over here.
Like, what are we doing? We keep letting these people represent us. Like Obama represented us, and we saw what happened with that, and that's what did it. We were so excited about this man.
We were caught up in that.
Caught up, and to think that what he didn't do, like a lot of people lost their jobs under his administration. Like a lot of people lost, like
the recession. There was a couple of recessions.
Yeah, and bailing out the banks. Like, what about Gaddafi? We got to talk about Gaddafi now.
You took him out and shook his hand and stabbed him in the back.
Which we'll get some, as they call, receipts on that on another show. But yeah, we got to go in on Mr. Obama for him you coming out trying to chastise black men when you should know better than that.
He didn't do a damn thing. He opened up some charities.
That's crazy.
Some charities, and they all failed and didn't do nothing.
Crazy. Oh, sorry. Let's get back to it.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
so
cakewalk
are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American.
No, he said he's going to turn them on who? The immigrants, migrants.
He's going to deport them.
Deporting. That's what he's talking about. All of them that's wreaking havoc. The Tren de Agua gang members and whoever else has come into the countries and wreaking havoc in these cities. That's who he's talking about. Girl, you need to stop it. Just stop it.
People.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated.
I know we're not talking about editing clips. Girl, bye. Girl, don't you go there and see. You don't want us to start compiling all your stuff, honey. Don't do it. Girl, just tap on them earrings and keep going.
He's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
He was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be.
Told you she get mad. She get tired of this.
She get
angry. You girl don't say nothing about democracy though, because there was no democratic process for you. So stop. I don't know. I think they think we are crazy.
Nobody picked you.
We don't know what words mean anymore. Are we like that dumb? Like I think we've been living long enough. Most of us, even some of the young people, they catching on. Like. You get some smart kids that understand like meanings of words, and when you are, BSing people, they can read through that. They can read through it.
Do you know how many kids they're thrown in jail and can't return to campus for protesting on campuses?
Right.
They got a whole list and say call the police immediately if any protests start up.
Mm-hmm.
This is under right now under her in his administration. People want to call it.
People who have been getting their videos taken down talking about her, like what type of democracy and freedom of speech are we dealing with? So I don't know who I'm more afraid of, him or you, if you get in. Like I don't know what to expect. Like you don't feel friendly to me, honey.
Willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat.
He was a liar last
to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump. You call Donald Trump.
Tap on it. Tell him
he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared to be?
Ooh, what you gonna do?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but,
Donald Trump
but you
is.
talk about it.
And Donald Trump
After George
is.
Clinton said
and
within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden at a
Trump-
Guess who's not
fundraiser
the
that
White
he
House?
thought this was not the
Donald
same Joe
Trump.
Biden
Right.
that we saw on the debate
Donald
stage.
Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous.
Was that Biden or Trump? Who we talking
Biden?
about?
Wait, which one?
Girl, we jumping back and forth.
You know, it's 3
She's
years
mad
now.
at him because he put that hat on. I'm telling you, Clint too. They say Clint put the hat on. Surprised Hillary didn't yet.
Ooh, child.
And should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
It doesn't make it fact because you keep repeating it,
Yeah,
honey.
you can't just say it is. Words do mean stuff.
Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands.
Wow.
Okay. This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles.
Wow.
What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that.
Because you know why she say Iran.
They've been trying to get Iran for a
Yes.
minute. They put in a coup and put a Shah in there. The people had to have a revolution. How do people keep forgetting they had to have a revolution to get the United States influence out of their country? Because they was killing their people.
You know,
just like they killed everybody in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen is still getting killed. Congo, they started all this stuff. Nigeria, we can go through all the list of all the countries they've been messing up.
Wow.
But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the number one threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently,
who's talking
whether
anymore?
it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there.
That's what she was doing.
Most recently in the Situation Room,
That's why I
the
said
most
that's
recent
why.
attack,
I was asking you.
working
No, it's 'cause
with
of
the
them.
heads of our military and doing what America must.
They already started. People don't understand. There was a World War I. There was a World War II. There was a World War III already. Everybody, that was the Cold War that went on in the 80s and the 90s. Now it's war by proxy. World War IV is happening right now by proxy.
And they want war so bad,
They
but
don't
they be,
understand
but
that
those,
it's going-
but see, all of them, they start this and then want to send our kids to go.
They just sent
fight.
troops over there.
No, you better get who you brought over
in the
here.
Mideast.
Go get them. You bringing all them over here to get on the ballot, possibly, allegedly. But you get them to fight for you. You paying them. You paying them to do something for you.
Well,
So
I think
you
that was
hope
the
that's
plan
what
to
it
get
is.
them over here to serve.
Yeah, you better keep that plan going.
Always do, to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources.
Everybody got a look. You see, they told him to stop for a minute and let her finish.
You got to talk about this.
Resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
But those
is,
proxies
and
were getting funded
my
by Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding.
When I first joined Honeybook, I was
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to
oil
Donald
profits.
Trump,
Hold
who
on.
pulled
That-
out of a deal that would have actually put
But here are
Iran in check.
the estimates
and
in
then
billions
it was during Donald Trump's
that go
administration
towards the
that
Iran regime.
that we had an American military base
the
that was
numbers.
attacked, where American soldiers.
Let's look at the numbers here. Hold on.
Okay, 2021, 37 billion. So does that estimate that it was probably lower in 2020? So 2022, 54.
2023,
53. All 1 billion less. 2024. Well, the year's not over yet.
Right.
Soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers, has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Look at what the administration did and say and think differently.
You are them folks is
You know, it's
whatever they say you do.
Missiles, bullets, or bombs. Those are the differences, I guess.
Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more
there
to
are
say,
a lot of
actually.
things that people want to learn about you and your policies. And that's why
I invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive.
When did that come to play? Remember when she didn't have nothing on that website except for donate. Now all of a sudden, look how more confident she looks since she's got those new pair of earrings. I mean, she just looks so different. She sounds different. She still does those little small pauses that lets me know that something
She's
is
listening to
happening
something.
there. But honey, we're not fooled. Let's wrap this one.
Comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do.
And that's why we invited you here
our economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military, and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
and
they're giving me a hard rap here.
Yeah, they're telling you to stop all this campaigning and ain't nobody buying it. Okay, let's stop sharing here. Let's go back to where we were. So, wow. So we got a issue here. We need to talk about how dare Magic first comes out.
Magic Johnson.
We're just gonna segue right on into it. How dare Magic Johnson get on anybody's podium with his H to the I to the V having A?
Right, and he's in Michigan, isn't he?
And tell somebody
he went to Michigan, not LA.
To get you together and vote for Kamala. Okay, then you got that didn't go over well because I'm sure they tore him a new one on all these platforms.
Right, yeah. First they had to rewind it so they could hear what he said properly.
Right, to throw the ball, Magic Johnson.
The ball, Magic Johnson.
Let's not forget.
So yeah, somebody said something about you need to learn how to raise your boy.
So then we get Mr. Obama. Why would you, of all people? I mean, I get it. You thought that you still had us in your back pocket. You thought that you still was the cool
Chicago
brother that, especially from being in Chicago, you thought you was that dude. You ain't that dude no more.
Nope.
We lost so much under your presidency, and we tried to figure out, still try to support you. Still, call you like that's still our president. That's our Chi-Town president. But the more we really thought about it and started thinking of all the things that happened while you were in office. First in 2008, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people got laid off. I'm one of them. And then we talked about getting him. He couldn't do nothing the first term, so we got to do it again. Next term, he got us.
Even though he had the House and the Senate.
House and the Senate, and this ain't the first time they've had the House and the Senate, and they refuse to do anything for us, specifically for us. Since you do it specifically for everyone else, I don't understand why that's a problem. But anyway, as I digress, so we go back. So Mr. Obama had the audacity to get in front of all of these coons and,
shills for the DNC organization,
and act like he's him. So I'm gonna speak
corporation
specifically to
the brothers.
Like the brothers.
Like what we do to you?
Hey, what did the brothers do to you?
We got questions.
What kind of colonizing mind do you have that makes you even think you can put your lips together to tell a black man, a grown ass black man, to vote the way you want them to vote?
That you got a problem with
it. And make an excuse that it's always because, they're not ready for a woman that's chauvinistic, or what is it, misogynistic, sexist, or whatever it is. You mean to tell me that black men can't think for themselves? Black men can't have an opinion. Black men can't vote for what policies work for them. Like, are you kidding me? And then we can go on to black people in general. This is what they think of us. They have always thought that they own us as well as our votes. They own our minds. They own our thoughts. They own our decisions. Like that's crazy to me when we hear people say, "Oh, racism don't exist. Oh, discrimination, doesn't happen." And black people are so much far ahead.
Right.
Yeah, when you look at coons, when you look at the athletes, the entertainers, they're not regular black people. I hope people realize that. I keep having to, stress that there are regular people in this world that don't. They're not entertainers.
Right.
They're not musicians. These are regular folks. So, and I know before they became, entertainers and musicians, they were regular folks.
They were. Everybody was.
So let's kind of come back down, Oprah. Come back down, Magic. Come back down, Sid. All of these people. Come back, not sexually entertainer, but come back down, Steve Harvey. If you ever been down, you lie so much. I'm sorry, allegedly. But let's talk about real people. We got real people with real problems. You got real communities that are suffering and have been suffering, and we just been doing what we need to do to survive. That's why we dedicated this channel. On it. We dedicate this channel just to get by.
Yes,
and it's just to get by in the shy. And I'm sure there are other cities that got these same stories that we can all share, because our communities pretty much look the same. It's crazy when you travel somewhere and you're like, wow, this look like the south side of Chicago. Wow, this place in Philly look like the west side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like cities so it's all about design. So why are we the only race of people, the only people, Black Americans, that have to go through the most disregard, disrespect,
chastisement?
And it's just crazy to me that now that we starting to wake up and think no, I'm not voting just because our parents told us to vote Democrat. Parents, family members told you got to vote Democrat.
Right.
Why is that a problem that now we're thinking well, you know what? Maybe this party not working out for us. We've been voting for the Democratic Party for how long?
Man, they say around 60-something years. And nothing has changed. They always tell us they're working on it.
The same.
Everything's the same. Potholes still the same place.
I think it was time for us to wake up at some point, and everybody's not awakened just yet, but I think we starting to really think about this. We have really been taken advantage of. We have been black and brown. We have been minoritized. It's crazy. We as Black Americans ask for a debt that's owed. You say, oh, that's divisive because it can't be specific to us. But then we turn around and we see Latinos getting specific things for them, Asians getting things specific for them.
They are.
All these other minorities getting, minority communities getting things that's specific to them. But when it comes to us, it's a problem. That bothers me because I'm like, why is that a problem?
Yes.
That, if you really took yourself out and looked at that situation, you gotta admit there's something wrong with that. There's some really wrong with people who have a problem as soon as it's something for Black people.
Yes,
that's crazy to me.
They're like, well, why can't
why
somebody else get a little piece of that? Why?
But you're getting your piece. It's like everybody's getting their piece.
Yes, they are.
But we keep getting pushed further and further. And even when you mention Black, you got to say brown.
You got to say
mention
somebody
Black,
else.
you got to say and this person or
and
this
then,
other
ain't
community.
no other community say in reverse.
So there's definitely something wrong with them being comfortable enough to give us something. And that bothers me because I'm like, why are you so fearful of us getting what's owed to us? Why are you so fearful of us getting what everybody else is getting? Soon as it's us, oh, wait a minute, taxpayers, take my tax dollars. Oh, wait a minute, we don't have enough. You'll never say that to nobody else.
No one.
So everybody's got a problem with Black Americans.
That's what it's looking like. That's what it is.
And that's deep. That is so deep that we are on our own. We have nobody that, you got people who, like Jill Stein, she's running on reparations.
Cornel West got something.
Cornel West is running on reparations.
I don't know about those other candidates.
But, when we talk about, reparations being cash, why is that a problem? When you giving cash right now, it almost felt like the way this was set up, we were asking for reparations. We kept stressing cash, cash, cash.
Yes.
Not only did they say no, they want to show us like we could give you ninjas some reparations, and we're gonna show you how we could have did it.
By example,
all of them over here just giving them 15,000 for this. 20,000 for this. Here goes some motorbikes, motorcycles. Here goes some more money for some cars.
Here goes some food
stamps. Here goes some. Oh, and we're gonna give you a house. You ain't got to pay nothing on it. Here goes free health care.
Here's a business right here.
Yeah, they get businesses. Like it's almost like y'all really trying to show us, like, yeah, we could, but we're not gonna.
We're not gonna do it.
Guess what? The ancestors is listening, and they've been listening, and we're in a time right now where people really better start thinking about how they treat us. That's all I'm gonna say. You really got to be careful how you are treating us. We are the kindest, gentlest, the most welcoming,
open
the most
arms.
Kind. We let everybody in our space, and this is what we get. Think about it. And I'm through.
That's all we got to say. We'd like to thank you all for listening. Yet again, we'll have something else for you soon in the future. But right now, if you want to donate, please donate to our channel. If you want to check out other channels, please do so. You can check out Relax with Ms. Tish. It's very relaxing. Or you can check out A Little Bit of Rage. It's just relaxing also, but it's just video games and it's a little rageful. Anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time.